All right. What up, what up? It's Don. Musical Relativity. So, if you've seen any of my other previous videos, this is the third in a series of videos on flat picking, particularly utilizing the double down pick stroke. So just to kind of recap, that's where you're using the 2 downs and an up. And you can go back and look at those 2 previous videos. They all say musical relativity because obviously I look like Charles Darwin. So the idea here is, in this video, is to try to apply it to a tune. Now, in the second video, I was showing how to use this roll, which is a 1-5. There's your 1, there's your 5. 1, 5, 1. And again, you've heard this a million times. I'm not going to repeat the second video. If you're watching this video and you've never heard of Doc Watson, then you should Google Doc Watson. And Doc played things like, well, about 1825, left Tennessee very much alive. Made it through the Arkansas mud, if I hadn't been riding on Tennessee stud. And that's kind of like a basis. And as I said, before you can pick out of this, you really got to kind of get that rhythm down where, I'm holding the pick, I'm using a heavy pick here. I don't want to say what it's made up of, but no tortoises in 100 years have been hurt by my pick. And all of this derives out of this 2 downs and an up rhythm against a 2 beat. Now, again, you can go back and look. What am I talking about? I believe that 60 is a very important number. And in terms of music, which is a human experience, it's a physical experience. It's throughout humanity. So wherever you go, before there was an internet, imagine such a time where people would explore the earth and find people living in remote parts of the world on islands in the Pacific that had their own music. So what I'm talking about is that too. I got my metronome set to 60 and I would practice that like this, among other ways. I would. It doesn't mean that 60 is slow. Anyway, so there's 2 things that I want to touch on here. One of them is using the major scale, finding the major scale, being able to access the major scale. All of us flat pickers use capos. But let's leave that aside right now. We still want to be able to find the major scale. So I'm going to start here with here's my G. And I'm going to use my middle finger to start. I could make this a double down. I could do this. Go to C. Now that time I only went to the 5th tone, which using the fifth because that gives us the arpeggio of the chord, the 1, the 3, and the 5. And if you don't if you don't understand that, it's okay. You can go to other YouTube videos. You can look at all of this stuff. It's all available. So if I start here on the G, I could make a little tune out of that. That's D, right? Where's E? And what these do is they give you chord centers, because wherever you can play the scale, well, there's a chord that will fit that. Again, I'm not talking about these big chords. When you watch the great players, when you watch Doc and Norman Blake and Clarence White and Dan Crary and all my heroes, and I apologize to whoever leaving out, and some of you might have a hero like Billy Strings. I was a young guy growing up with Billy Strings, and a guy like Billy Strings or other people of that ilk caliber, they've all studied the techniques of the great ones. So everything I'm doing here is this down, double down, and it's a timing mechanism. It gives me power in my attack because that first note, the other two, it's like a banjo roll or a dobro roll or finger picker. And there's different ways depending on the style of music. What I would like to do here is use that to illustrate. I'm going to use the tune Blackberry Blossom to illustrate that. Now, I'm not suggesting that what I'm about to play here is going to be the quintessential Blackberry Blossom. Oh, that's better. You can go and watch Norman Blake and Tony Rice and many other people. I'm not really doing this to entertain, but 2 weeks ago I made a video for a friend of mine, or a friend of mine inspired me to make a video, and this morning I looked and there was over 700 views on it. So the teacher in me, 36-year science teacher, recently retired, is just going to show a couple of these ideas. So I'm going to use that. If you're familiar with Blackberry Blossom, then you know that it uses the major scale and kind of walks down. Now I'm playing it like a moderate tempo. That's the whole tune. I'm going to shut my metronome off, but you could see that I was able to play in that 1, 2, 1, and I'm starting right here with this is important. This is a filler roll. The late great Stacy Phillips, who I had the pleasure of taking some dobro lessons with. God rest his soul. But as soon as he heard me play, he said, "You need a filler roll. You need a G filler roll." So here's a G filler roll on guitar. Now I'm using that double down. You can hear it. I think I'll do another video another time on using the ups with it. But let's for now say, here's the double down. Now a fiddle player might say, "I'm going to give you some potatoes." And that's a kind of a fiddle term where they just kind of lay in the groove out before they go into the tune. So it's the same type of thing. Now, oh yeah, notice I can talk. That's because I'm not going two. I'm not tapping my foot at all. But I'm not playing with this 4-beat where everything's accounted for. And so many people do that. And if you've been struggling with flat picking and you flat pick Blackberry Blossom, something like this. It might seem different, but what this allows you to do is create phrases. It lets you breathe. That's the human part of music. You let you get into the space, as Kenny Warner says. If you don't know who Kenny Warner is, maybe we can talk. Ken Warner. If you're interested, check it out. So I could do something like that. Here's my G filler roll, and I could just create some space. I'm not resolving it. Second time I did. Now, if that sounds familiar, if you don't know it as a fiddle tune, maybe you know it as I'm from Korea. Time friend, the devil is a friend of mine. I left home for a little light of and my understanding is Jerry wrote that tune Jerry Garcia wrote that tune based on the Blackberry Blossom. Jerry was a banjo player, if you didn't know that. If you're a deadhead, I'm sure you probably do know that. And for a time, he was a bluegrass picker, and he went to Rosine, Kentucky to try to audition for Bill Monroe. That might be him now, but we're not taking any phone calls. All right, so here's the idea of Blackberry Blossom here, where here's my chord center, my G chord center. I can kind of hover here. I can make it bigger. I could do that, but notice the right hand. Boom, bada, 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 boom, and I can sing it on, but not the words. That's an ornament. That's not. That's the whole tune. Now, if you listen to Norman play it, Norman Blake plays it on the great recording of Blake and Rice, with Norman Blake and the great Tony Rice. Norman plays it more straight. He plays it more like this. I was fortunate enough to spend a week with Norman, not just he and I, but in Elkins, West Virginia, where he taught flat picking for a week. Now Tony Rice plays more like what he plays is some of the Tony's using more kind of a jazzy approach. And he's using the pentatonic scales and such. And again, I'm not getting into those scales. There's many videos that already exist. But I would say the main one before you mess around with the diminished scale and the pentatonic and the major and the minor pentatonics is you learn this one. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. You can do the double down with it. Go around in the cycle of fifths. What comes after? Oh, let's not worry about it. Let's go to the D. If we go back to that Doc Watson tune, and again, I'm making this video is not about particular tunes. I'm just using the tunes. You want to develop technique. The problem that I had when I was first trying to do this is I was trying to play when I didn't have the technique. It's taken me a while to develop the technique. So if Doc would play something around 1825, if Tennessee very much alive. Now if he was picking that, you can just shoot. There's that first 5 notes of the major scale. I get someone that been brighter than this story. Is that filler roll? Now I'm using a D filler roll. What does that mean? I'm using the double down, and I've split up the 5th string to my D, and I have an adjacent D. You know, like what I've seen, I know guitar players work on this for years, and then somebody gets a banjo, and in a couple of months they're playing. They learn a banjo roll, and like, wow, you're playing all these tunes, and I've been trying to play these on guitar. It's like, yeah, you got to get the rolls down. So Blackberry Blossom, one more time, moderate tempo, 3, 4, 1. Just the bones of the tune. I'm not playing Tony's licks or Clarence's licks or I'll just go down here for a while. Major scale, but 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, peace out, happy picking.